Hello and welcome to Euphoria. In this video I'll be continuing my series on the design and build of a Lego modular building. This is going to be the town hall for my Lego city and have an important place right on the main square in the centre of the city. You can see all about the design of this MOC in the previous episodes in this series, where I walk through the design process and some of the choices made during the design. Today I'll be continuing the build of this MOC and carry straight on from the previous episode, in which I started the build and constructed the foundations and lower ground floor or semi-basement level of the building. In this video, I'm going to build the ground or main floor of the building. In this MOC, each floor level is built separately, and it will be possible to separate them in modular style. So this video is covering this level of the building, which is the ground or main floor. Now, I designed this building so that there's a main section to the building with a wing section on each side. But as the whole thing is 64 studs wide, I felt that might be too large as one big section. So we split the build into the main section and the wings as separate builds. So I'm going to start by making the main section of the ground floor of the building, then I'll come on to build the wing sections later. I'm starting this section by making the floor plate for this level of the building. I'm doing this in the way I normally do them, which is a floor plate made of 2 layers of plates, generally the larger plates on the top, connected and supported by smaller plates underneath. The floor plate for the right hand side of the building is made in a similar way to the one for the left hand side. And there's a complicated shape at the back which has to deal with the stairwell at the back of the building. This floor plate is a bit unusual because there's a big hole in the middle where it's going to fit round the central hallway. That's because the level of the main entrance doors and entrance hall is slightly lower than the rest of the main floor, so there are some steps up to what will be the main ground floor level of the building. Let's just check that it does fit onto the basement level properly. So, as I expected, this floor plate is rather fragile at the moment. That seems a bit weird as it's supposed to support the walls, but I've found that things tighten up a lot when you build more layers, so I hope that this will be the case with this build as well. On the left hand side, I'm putting down a pattern of black and white tiling for the floor of the main reception room. I'm not tiling the right hand side because there are internal partitions in this section, and there'll be a lot of furniture on this side, and I'm not sure how I want to do the floor in this area just yet. Anyway, I'm going to make a start on building the walls onto the floor plate that I've just built. Now, the windows in the front and back walls here are built directly onto the floor plate. So I'm going to start by putting the window sills in place to mark their positions. And then I'm ready to add the first few layers of the walls in this lovely warm medium nougat colour, and I'm using mostly those masonry profile bricks with the nice brick effect on the outside. I can already feel that this part at the back near the rear entrance that was very weak in the initial build of the floor plate is starting to firm up with the addition of the walls. The walls at the sides of the building here are of course still internal walls because the wings will go on the sides of the main building. When I was designing this town hall, I envisaged an option to make a smaller version of the building without the wings, in which case, of course, these would be external walls and would need to be changed to masonry bricks like the rest of the external walls. Now, before the walls get too high, I'm going to install the furniture and fittings for this main level of the building. If you followed along with the design, then you'll have seen that I'm going to use a lot of the furniture from the Lego set The Office for this MOC. There are some other pieces that I've made as well, but we'll come on to those later. On the left-hand side, I'm not adding any furniture into this large function room, as it would be set up appropriately for whatever meeting or event is taking place here. On the right-hand side of the building will be the reception area for the town hall and a small consulting or meeting room for quick meetings with visitors and members of the public. I'm going to use the reception desk, a small printer and the easy chair from the office set for this area, maybe with a cupboard or a filing cabinet, and I'll just put a couple of chairs and a small table in the consulting room. So now, looking at this area with the white, looks a bit stark. So I've decided that I'm going to tile it. So I'll use some medium nougat tiles and plates to give the effect of floorboards. I need to arrange these so that there are plates where studs are needed to anchor the furniture. That looks pretty good. Now, this corridor at the back here looks a bit odd, so I think if I can find a few more black and white tiles, I'm going to continue the tiling from the main reception room through into this back corridor. Okay, so I've extended the black and white tiling through into this corridor here at the back, And I've also added a kind of 3D effect into the tiling in the main function room on the left hand side, just to add a bit of interest. There, I think that looks much better. Now I'm ready to continue building the walls, and I can add the windows and doors into the build. Here I've added the first set of windows, which are 1 by 2 by 3 frames, and another couple of layers of bricks. The windows are set into the external walls with a sill on the outside, and on the inside they have surrounds made of white bricks, which are connected into the external walls by these white bricks, which appear as coins on the outside of the building. They are matched by other white bricks at the corners, which represent stone coins, but actually also help to tie the structure of the walls together in the Lego model as well. The top halves of the windows are 1 by 2 by 2 frames, and at the top of the windows are these semicircular fan lights, which fit inside arches at the top of the windows and tie the tops of all the wall sections together. For the stairwell, I've used those larger 1 by 4 by 6 window frames with 2 glazing bars, which reduces the number of small frames and panes needed to complete the large glazing area at the back of the stairwell. There are some internal doorways into the stairwell itself, and the doors at the ends of this section are of course internal doors, as they lead to 2 wing sections on either side. I can continue to build up the walls all the way around, including the internal walls and connecting archways, finish off the consulting room and the tops of the windows, internally and externally, until I get round to the front of the building. At the front of the building is the main entry from the portico into the main hallway. An arch over this opening ties the walls together and finishes off the front of the building. Similar arches form the structure of the portico, which then extends beyond the front of the building and is supported on columns. The portico fits onto the pediment that we built as part of the building foundations in the previous episode. On top of the portico will be a section of flat roof that can be accessed from the upper floor of the building, which we'll be building later. This main section of the building is finished off with a tiling layer, which will allow the addition and removal of the next level of the building, which will be the upper or first floor. And in case you're wondering, this whole construction is now really solid and strong, with the possible exception of the columns for the portico, which of course will be supported by the pediment when this level is placed in position. So that's this section of the build complete. I'll turn now to the two wing sections, which are built separately and fit on to either end of this main section. I'm going to start with the right-hand wing. This wing will be built separately from the main section that I just built, but fits right next to it and will sit on the lower ground or foundation level at the side here. The build starts with a floor plate built in the similar way to the one for the main part of the building, but much smaller and simpler, and without a big hole in the middle. This section is going to be the washroom area, so I'll start with tiling the floor in these tan tiles. The wash basins go at the front, and of course, being the town hall, they're equipped with gold-plated taps. The two WC cubicles go at the back. Now I can proceed with building up the walls and windows. The windows at the back are small and higher up, as these are the WC cubicles. The cubicles are built in the back. Then I can add the top layer of bricks and a tiling layer, again to separate this level from the level that will go above it. I'm finishing this section off with down pipes, which will eventually come down from the roof. So this section will fit on the right hand side of the main section of the building. Now I'll build the left hand wing, which will be the catering section. The left hand wing starts with the same floor plate as the right hand wing, but this side has a window in the front and the back wall, so there are windowsills front and back. The walls are built up in pretty much the same way as the wing on the other side. There are no internal walls in this small section, as it's intended to be the kitchen to provide catering for any functions taking place in the building. I didn't design the kitchen in detail during the design phase. I should have done, really. So I'm going to work that out now during the build. So here I've worked up some designs for kitchen units and appliances that will fit into this catering section. I'm surprised how easy it is to fill up what I thought was a fairly large area of 14 by 9 studs, although some of that space is constrained by the window surrounds, and I still wanted to leave a workable space in the middle with access to all areas for minifigs. Anyway, I think that gives a good impression of what this area is about. This section of the build is finished off with the tiling separation layer and the downpipes, the same as the other wing. This section will fit here on the left-hand side of the main section of the building. That's all the sections of this level of the building finished. So now I expect we're all curious to see how this works when added to the foundation or semi-basement level of the building that I built in the previous episode. The semi-basement level has a tiling separation layer with just a few studs to help locate the ground floor level and hold it in position. The ground floor will fit over the main entrance at the front with a tiling separation layer to keep them separate so that it can be removed again. The same idea works at the rear entrance because the semi-basement level isn't the height of a full floor, so the back door sort of extends up into the ground floor part of the build. The main section fits on top of the semi-basement level, like this. Once it's on and clicked into position, I think you can see that it fits together okay. The front entrance fits neatly into the gap left for it, and the rear entrance looks fine once fitted together. The two wings are just placed on their section of the lower ground or semi-basement level alongside the main section of the building. But you can see that they fit together really well, and the internal doorways give access to the wings from the main section of the building. That applies both to the access from the reception area into the washroom area, and at the other side from the function room into the kitchen. Obviously, the staircase in the stairwell at the rear goes up to nothing at the moment, but it will give access to the first floor or upper story when I build that and add it on here. So now I've finished building the semi-basement level and the ground floor level for the town hall. So far, these parts of the build have gone pretty much according to the design. There were a couple of places where I made minor changes. I changed the design of the side windows slightly so I can fit kitchen units in front of them, and so they don't need to be as big as the windows in the front and back. I changed the pattern of tiling on the floor of the main function room, which I think is much nicer, and carried the black and white tiles through into the hallway and also through into the kitchen. On the other side, I added the floorboard effect tiling in the reception area. I also made a small improvement to the tiling separation layer on the wings because there's not much binding at the top, especially at the corner here, due to the combination of these arches and the colours used to maintain the colour scheme. That's something I may need to look at again. But overall, I'm really pleased with the way it's gone together, and this build is progressing the way that I envisaged it. It has the effect I was looking for, and I think it's developing into a suitably impressive building. I think the main entrance and main entrance hall provide a great first impression of the entrance to the building. The reception area looks nice and welcoming, with the reception desk, the easy chair and the little consulting room. The washroom area has worked out how I expected. The main function room is okay, maybe a little Spartan without any furnishings, but I really like the floor tile pattern. And the kitchen area looks suitably functional to support events in the adjacent function room. So this is quite a large MOC, and I still have another 2 floors and the roof to build. I'm going to complete this build across several videos because it's too large to do all in one go, and I want to show you how things are progressing with the build as I go along. So I'll break here and continue the build of this MOC in the next video. Join me in the next episode of this series, in which I'll be building the upper or first floor of this town hall MOC. I hope you enjoyed watching the build of this part of the MOC. Thanks for your interaction with the channel. If you have any comments or questions, just let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the like button and hit the bell button to be notified of new videos, and subscribe to the channel to see more about my MOCs, other builds and ideas, and updates on my LEGO City.